Hey, everybody, what's going on? What's hot? What's hip? What's happening? What is shaking on your Wednesday? That means hump day. We here at the Tom Gulley Show, as always, hope that you are receiving the full, total, and complete amount of hump that you so desperately crave and you so rightfully deserve. Tonight, we're going to tell you, yes, about a man named Marvin Heemeyer and his Killdozer. It's not a Killdozer, it's a Killdozer. Donald is waiting for Elon Musk to send him his $5,000. What do we get that for? I'd like $5,000, please. May I have $5,000, please? Thank you. Thank you, please. Please, thank you. Hey, you know, Donald says he loves a Killdozer, and who doesn't? You know what they like more than a Killdozer? They like a Killdozer. Doc says, I got to wait till my woman is feeling better to hump. Yeah, well, that's what got you into trouble to begin with. You know what I'm saying? You know what Terry Nee did today? I saw a clip. Probably, it's within the last week, but it was close to a week ago. And it was of Ball State, and somebody was narrating this clip, by the way, and saying terrible things about Ball State. And they deserved it. They totally choked at the end of a basketball game in spectacular fashion. And I saw it, and I felt shame. And then Terry Nee DMs me on Twitter today with the actual clip. And for some reason, I felt like 9,000 times more shame because Terry Nee sent it to me. He shamed me more than I had already been shamed. Donald said that's what they got hookers for. Hey, easy now. It's a family show. True, Donald, but she's worth the wait. And it's a good answer. It's a good answer. Not only is she worth the wait, she's out of town. Nothing you can do about it anyway. Well, I guess maybe you guys could do some FaceTime or I don't know how you kids do that. I don't know how you do it. I interrupted my Mountain Dew Zero because Doc Torn said, damn it all, Terry Nee. Terry Nee. Hey, why don't I start telling you about Marvin Heemeyer and his Killdozer? Western Michigan. Was it Western or was it Central? I can't remember. It doesn't matter. It was at Ball State, though. It was in Stauder Arena or Worthen Arena, whatever they're calling it now. Stauder, I don't know. Doc says, hey, now. I can't read that. So Marvin Heemeyer was this fella who actually owned a bunch of automobile repair shops. And he also modified a bunch of buildings in the town behind me here, Granby, Colorado. Smoke detector says, hey, it's my favorite Gullerino, Mr. Tom. Thank you. I think that's a salute of some kind. Donald said, oh, yeah, I want to hear about this Killdozer. Not to be confused with the 1974 film Killdozer. That's from the movie in 1974 entitled Killdozer. I don't know why I enjoy that so much, but I just do. At any rate, let's get into Marvin Heemeyer. We all know what he did. And by the way, Killdozer may be an inappropriate title because he didn't kill anybody else. He didn't kill anybody else. Let's get that on the table right there. I'm not saying that nobody got killed, but he didn't kill anybody else. He didn't kill anybody else. Did he not destroy all the government buildings? Well, we're going to get into that, and we're going to get into it toot sweet here, Donald. Toot sweet, chop chop, licky toot. Here is the subject of our story, and he looks like such a pleasant fella. He looks like a darn pleasant fella. But if you look at his eyes, let me blow this up for you. If you look at, and blow this up for you might be a poor choice of words. Oh, I forgot to say, like, share, subscribe, retweet, notification bell. Please like and please share. Please subscribe. It doesn't cost you 1 penny to do that. And it helps us with the algorithm, the almighty, all-powerful, all-seeing algorithm. Plus, we do have super chats. We do have memberships. We love it when you take advantage of those because it helps us pay the bills around here. And then if you look in the crawl at the bottom of the screen, it'll tell you how to turn on your gifted memberships. Please turn those on because someone could give you out of the goodness of their heart a free membership, and then you will have access to that members-only exclusive content that you so desperately crave and you so rightfully deserve. So Marvin Heemeyer here was born on a dairy farm in South Dakota way back in 1951. In 1974, he moved to Colorado because he was stationed at Lowry Air Force Base. And in 1989, he moved to Grand Lake, Colorado, about 16 miles away from Granby. One of his friends, a guy named John Baltry, said he was a very likable person. And Heemeyer's brother Ken stated he would bend over backwards for anyone. And while many people describe Heemeyer as a good-natured fella, local resident Christy Baker claimed that she was told Heemeyer threatened her husband after he refused to pay for a disputed muffler repair. How many of us haven't been there? And she said her husband later paid Heemeyer $124. He enjoyed snowmobile trips with friends. He led a rescue effort on one such trip after a friend became trapped in a small avalanche. Interestingly, he was very much in favor of gambling legislation, and he campaigned for the cause on several occasions. He actually began publishing his own newspaper about the gambling issue, and he thought local newspapers were biased against gambling. In 1994, a measure was proposed that would have legalized gambling in Grand Lake, Colorado, where he lived. And Heemeyer was an avid supporter of the proposal, so passionate about the cause that he almost came to fisticuffs with a local reporter who was opposed to the gambling issue. And in 1992, this is where the problem starts. Okay? This is where the problem starts. He purchased 2 acres of land for $42,000, which is almost $100,000 in today's money. And he purchased it at auction with plans to lease the property to a friend who was going to build an auto repair shop on the site. Present at the auction, and remember this name, was Cody Docheff, whose family had previously owned the property. Heemeyer claimed that Cody Docheff had berated him for several minutes after the meeting out of anger at losing the property. However, no other party present recalled any such interaction. So he gets the property, Marvin here, gets the property at auction, and this guy, Cody Docheff, according to Cody Docheff, who wanted the property, says that Marvin Heemeyer berated him. I'm sorry, I got that completely backwards. Heemeyer claimed that Cody Docheff had berated him out of anger of not getting the property. Okay? But nobody else recalled that. Nobody. And then this might be kind of a sort of beginning of a theme of Marvin claiming things happened that didn't really actually happen. Incidentally, I just would like to add before we get too much further, if you really want to know about what happened here and you really want to see all the footage and you want to hear the tapes, I'll tell you about the tapes in just a little while. you've got to watch this documentary. It's a very, very good documentary about Marvin Heemeyer and his Killdozer. And it's called Tread. Please take a look at this documentary. It's really, really, really good. Anyway, the property itself had a very basic, sort of a rudimentary sewage storage solution in the form of a buried cement mixer left by the previous owners. The cost to update the sewer system would be nearly double the $42,000 Heemeyer paid for the property. Now, city officials in Granby, and this is Granby, and by golly, who wouldn't want to live here? You know, because that's just, wow, that looks really, wow. Anyway, the city officials told Marvin that putting a septic tank on it was a less expensive alternative, but he didn't want to do either thing and said that the government not paying for the sewage line hookup was extortion by government fiat. Now, despite these setbacks, he did not withdraw his annexation request and subsequently became part of the sewer district. And a year later, 1993, he had abandoned his plans to rent the property to that friend and instead opened a muffler shop on the property. According to Marvin Heemeyer, his friend had lost interest in the property around April of 1992 because of oil spills and environmental issues. Now, 4 years pass. That's the sound of 4 years passing, by the way. In 1997, the Dochev family, who was a prominent family, and I would assume still is a prominent family in Granby, Colorado, they planned to expand their business to include a concrete batch plant, and they were buying up the land around their current lot, hoping to lease the remaining 23 parcels to, sort of small manufacturers and businesses. And they were informed by the Town Planning Commission that they needed a Plan Development Overlay District permit to construct the plant as part of their Mountain Park concrete development. The commission also suggested that the Dochev family ask if they could purchase Heemeyer's plot to keep the plant away from hotels and businesses on Route 40. I guess Route 40 would be over there to the far right. The very far right. So they approach Marvin Heemeyer, who, they had contentious relationships with, and he asked for $250,000. That's almost $500,000 in today's money for the property, but later claimed he had the lot reappraised and asked for an additional $125,000, which, if you do the math, is an additional $250,000 in today's money. The Dochevs managed to get about $350,000 on the table. But according to Susan Dochev, Heemeyer again upped the asking price, claiming that he had the property appraised again at a higher value and asked for $450,000. And this all happened before a rezoning proposal at a public hearing. Now, despite this deal falling through, the Dochev family pursued their plans to expand their businesses and purchased a sort of an abandoned commercial subdivision opposite of Marvin Heemeyer's lot. Heemeyer himself had attempted to buy this land just before the Dochevs, but couldn't make it happen. He later proposed a land swap where he would get the prime lot, and the Dochevs initially said, cool, we'll do that, but Heemeyer demanded the Dochevs construct a new building on the lot as well, which was very expensive, and that's when the negotiations fell apart, with Heemeyer just stonewalling them and saying, I don't want to talk to you, I don't want to hear from you, whatever. And then Marvin, Marvin really started to go a little nutsy. And why don't I get to some of your comments real quickly, because I see that you do have them. Yeah. I want to hear about this Killdozer. Doc says, let's hear about this legend and absolute hero. He looks like the guy next door. Smoke Detector says, the only server I'm in, pod, I think they're aware I have shared I don't know what that's all about. He's just drunk. Smoke Detector says, he's the Tom Gulley of rampages for sure. Surgically accurate in his mayhem. Well, that's actually very true. Donald said, I want somebody that knows what they're talking about to tell us this story. Well, you've come to the wrong place. Smoke Detector says, oh, I only saw a YouTube supercut. We'll check that out for sure. Paused Up Patriot is here. Donald says, you're in luck. Tom, don't mess around. Donald has the that thing there in the deal. And Donald says, what's the population over there? It's very small. I think if I recall, it's about 6,000 people. The Wolf has entered the room. He says, hello, everyone. Scott Green is here, and he's just a liar. So... yeah, why are the frame rates so low? Yeah, why is everything so bad? Yeah, gosh, I think I'll fall for it. Doc says, hey, yo, Wolf, can you imagine a tutorist? No, guys, I have the actual stream going on another monitor right now. The frame rates are fine. Maybe something's wrong with your computer. Why is your computer acting so weird? Gosh, why is that happening? I'm worried. I'm concerned. Smoke Detector says, can you imagine a tutorist only hitting legitimate foes? This man rewrote multiple books. Hey, by the way, when I went to do the Twitter posting about tonight's show, there's a bunch of tribute Twitter accounts to this guy. Like a ton of them. Rumpled Trenchcoat is here. You got to check out Rumpled Trenchcoat, a Columbo podcast. People saying hi. 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 And, of course, people saying hi. We do have the most cheerful chat room on the internet, as verified by independent sources. Just trying to help. I'm just going to try to get by without the help. I'm going to try to muddle through. Yeah, you guys, oh gosh, I'm sorry I've victimized you so with you're just in here always trying to help. You really are. The Wolf says, hello, Coat. Doc says, hi, saying people. Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to victimize you or trigger you that way because you're just trying to help. I'm sorry that in the Discord where you're all watching my show that the frame rates are not to your liking. Heemeyer, by the way, I haven't been in there because my Discord, I got this Discord problem where I launch Discord and it just keeps loading updates and won't actually launch the application. And I've grown weary. I've grown very weary. I'm the Marvin Heemeyer of Discord. Let's see here. Smoke Detector says Stella is a confirmed algomancer. I don't know what that means. Rumpled Trenchcoat. Now, see, if you turned on your gifted memberships, bam, you would get Rumpled Trenchcoat, like Marvin Heemeyer, would bend over backwards to do anything for anybody. He has gifted 5 The Tom Gulley Show memberships, and thank you so much for that. You will receive the highest honor that we can bestow here on the Tom Gulley Show, which is, of course, the full point. That's right, the full point without banner. Without banner. So thank you, Rumpled Trenchcoat, for your kind donation of 5. Count them 5. I don't know who got them. A lot of times people who hate me are subscribers and they get the memberships. So I hate it when that happens. I hope it didn't in this instance, and I hope somebody really, truly deserving got those. So thank you again, Rumpled Trenchcoat. You are always very, very generous to us here on the program. Anyway, there's Marvin again. It just seems like such an affable fella. Let me see. Let me see here. Let's see. Rumpled for the win. Yes, Rumpled. An algorithmical YouTube search. And yes, that's a common vocation. It's helpful to the old folks here. High frame rates kill us. Oh, boy. I didn't catch the Scott Ozzy Day show yet. Been meaning to check that out. Yes, it's what it is. There may be evidence on that program of someone who's not always what we call full of candor. They may from time to time exhibit a lack of candor. Heemeyer launched a public campaign at this point against the planned concrete plant, as you might do. His campaign was successful at first, with members of the public concerned about the potential environmental impacts, and they packed the hearings, and everyone was in an uproar. But the Dochefs addressed these concerns by promising to install additional measures against dust and noise, and they presented these little miniature schematics, and, they said, don't be worried, concerned citizens. We've got that covered. And so opposition to the thing dwindled, and the plan was set in motion again until in November of 2000 when old Marv here filed a lawsuit to block the protest. Now, the city clerk wrote a letter to the newspaper arguing that Heemeyer had a vendetta against the Dochefs. And the clerk referenced Heemeyer's increasingly exorbitant demands during the negotiations. Remember back when he kept raising the sale of the property? Well, by January 9th, 2001, Heemeyer had lost most of his allies opposing this darn concrete plant, and city officials almost unanimously approved a construction of the plant. On the 9th of January, that fateful day, the preliminary plans for the plant were approved, and only Heemeyer remained unopposed. That made the final approval by the zoning commission just a formality, and it was to happen in April. He tried to appeal the decision, claiming the construction blocked access to his shop, which it never did, according to the judge that handled the case. A local journalist made a big deal out of it, and then they actually took aerial photography. Can I point out once again that this is all over Granby, Colorado? They had aerial photography done. Why didn't they just get on one of the tall hills in the back? I mean, it seems like a lot of squawking over very, very small things. He also complained to the Environmental Protection Agency. And so the Dochefs went, okay, and they had a noise analysis done. For the love of poop. What are these people doing? What are these people doing? I tell you what. So in June of 2001, Joe Dochef, there's a lot of Dochefs, by the way. I should mention to you that there's a ton of Dochefs, and they'd been in the area for generations. And when, you know how it is when you live in a small town, the people that have been there forever are the more prominent people in town, and they're kind of civic and all that stuff. Joe Dochef made Heemeyer an offer. He says, if you drop the lawsuit, we will give you an easement, okay, a way to connect the sewer line to the new concrete plant's sewer line free of charge. Then all your problems are over with. Heemeyer hung up on him. And around this time, that buried concrete truck barrel that was his sewage hole, that was his septic tank, yeah, it filled up. So it's backing up now. And yes. And Heemeyer, of course, responded, as any rational person would do, by simply pumping his sewage with a gasoline pump into the irrigation ditch that ran behind his property, which that's got to make you a popular guy there in Granby, Colorado, doesn't it? Just get yourself a gas pump and just kind of pump the sewage. Anyway. Oh, but he didn't stop there. He also attempted to illegally connect to a neighbor's sewage line, but he was caught in the act and reported to the sanitation district. I don't know if the sanitation district has police. Sanitation squad. The jig's up. The sanitation squad is here. Anyway, it was around this point the sewer district started enforcing the legal requirement for him to have a sewer hookup or a septic tank and fined him $2,500, which is about $4,500 in today's money. And they also fined him for a bunch of other city code violations at his business. And this is in July of 2001. It's about 9 years after they originally told him that he had to do this. He was found in contempt of town code in November of 2001 and required to fix the connection issues before he could inhabit or use his property for business again. Oh, and by the way, he had to get rid of that truck barrel full of sewage as well. And he agreed before later in the day rejecting it. You know, Marvin here, he wasn't the most well-balanced of people, you know. And he began describing the requirements as a form of terrorism. An attorney involved with the case reported Heemeyer muttering, "I'm just going to bulldozer this whole place to the ground." Let me repeat, "I'm just going to bulldozer this whole place to the ground." That's what he said. That's what he said. Yep. He said that. Let me get through some more of your comments here. Should I put Marvin? Let's get the old 74 movie Killdozer up on the screen. I don't know why, I just like to. You know what I'm saying? Let's get this going here. Doc says, "I'm watching on my phone and the picture's so clear I can see Tom's cleanly shaved chin." Smile, you're on Candid Candor. That's right. That is right. Guys, if you want to troubleshoot the show in your spare time, please go ahead. I know it's always got to be about you, but we're just not doing that today. Not today. To be honest, Tom, you could have a 3-hour conversation with somebody else's anime pillow and grape it into entertainment. You got the talkies, bro. I've got the talkies. Have you tried wearing lo-fi vocals? Oh, brother. Let's see here. Funky Bronco is still getting super hammered. Super, super hammered. There we go. There are your comments. So anyway, after this lawsuit against the town was dismissed in April of 2002, Heemeyer blamed the failure on his lawyer and asked his lawyer for a refund. I think you can see that Marvin here, maybe his heart was in the right place. Okay, maybe his heart was in the right place, but, you know, he just was a little... He knew the zoning decision was now final. So he went to California. That's the place you want to be. And he packed up his Komatsu D355A bulldozer and he moved to Granby, Colorado, that is. Sewage problems. Anyway. He went out there and he bought him a Komatsu D355A bulldozer in an auction for $16,000, which is worth about $27,000 today. He had it shipped to Granby in July of 2002, and he kept it outside of his business with a for sale sign. This is it when it was completed, when he was done a tooling on it. You know, he was done tooling on it. By the way, Chef is in the house. Always good to see the Chef. We do have the most cheerful chat room on the internet, and it's been verified by independent sources. People saying hi, people saying hi, people saying hi, and there you go. And people saying hi. And this is crazy stuff. So there you go. He puts a for sale sign on this thing. And he tried to auction it, but nobody really paid any attention to it. They're like, oh, look, there's a bulldozer for sale. In October of 2002, he announced the closure of the muffler repair business because he couldn't really use it. He was forbidden to do business there, and he put almost all the inventory up for sale. When the bulldozer wouldn't sell, get this, Marvin Heemeyer here, he took that as a sign from the Lord. He took it as a sign from God that he had to start his mission. His mission. He sold his property for $400,000, which is about $700,000 in today's money. That's That's about 10 times the original purchase price. And he sold it to a waste disposal company in October of 2003 and took out a lease. He sells it, and then he leases half of the building that he previously owned until he finished some work. Quote unquote, finish some work. Within a day of that purchase closing, he sells it, the purchase closes. The new owners completed the water and sewer connections just to show you how nutty his stand against all this really was. Now, so he erects a wall inside the property to separate his space from the rest of the building, and he changed all the locks. While no one in Granby saw him, he worked on the bulldozer, illegally making living quarters. It wasn't zoned for residential use, so that he didn't have to return to his home in Grand Lake, 16 miles away, which he saw as a waste of time that he could spend on the dozer. During this period, he dumped his sewage into the same irrigation ditch he had been caught dumping his sewage in previously. And if you hear these tapes, and I'll tell you more about the tapes a little later, he said, it's interesting to observe I was never caught, Heemeyer wrote. This was a part-time project over a 1.5 year period. He was surprised that several men who had visited his little walled-off area late the previous year had not noticed the modified bulldozer, especially with the 2,000-pound lift fully exposed. Somehow, their vision was clouded, which he took as a sign from the Lord. The Lord. And so he starts remodeling, retrofitting, rebuilding this bulldozer. Can you dig it? By the way, please like, share, subscribe, retweet, notification bell. It's free stuff. It's free. It doesn't cost you a penny to like or to share or to subscribe. And guess what? Guess what? It helps us with the algorithm, the almighty, all-powerful, all-seeing algorithm. Plus, we do have super chats. We do have memberships. And boy, oh boy, oh boy, it really helps. You know what I mean? It really, really helps. We pay the bills around here with that. And plus, you can get free memberships. If you look at the crawl at the bottom of the screen, it'll tell you exactly how to do that. And here is a moment of note. Rumpled Trenchcoat, a Columbo podcast, celebrating 10 months of memberships with us. Seems like a quiet guy. Is that a damn tank? Is that a damn tank? Yeah, it's a damn tank. It's a damn tank. I'm telling you, it's a damn tank. But Rumpled Trenchcoat, for the second time tonight, is going to receive the point for being a member for 10 solid months. For that, you get the point. Is that a damn tank? Sorry, I just felt like saying, is that a damn tank again? All right, let's get back to what this fellow was doing here, because the fellow was doing a lot of stuff. He really was. Oh, wait, I got more chats to read. Hold on. Doopa says, hello, Tom and chat. Driving home and listening. And thank you for listening, Doopa. Always good to see you here. Detector says, does he doze any cyber kids, or was he too much of a coward? Well, you'll have to wait until the exciting end of our story. Rumpled Trenchcoat is saying hi to Dupa. Drive safe. What does the bulldozer do? Did I miss something? No, you didn't miss anything, Paz. It's coming up. People saying hi. Julian Zeezer says bulldozers are zoning quarrels by other means. Yes, he ended the quarrel by other means. Let's put the actual dozer back up here while I continue the story. The bulldozer was a modified Komatsu D355A, which he referred to as the MK tank, which stood for Marv's Komatsu tank, in his audio recordings. He fitted it with makeshift composite armor plating covering the cabin, the engine, and parts of the tracks. He had 3 external explosions. Yes, explosions that were cast at the dozer when what happened, and more than 200 rounds of ammunition fired at his MK tank. And those things, when he did what he did, had absolutely no effect on it. For visibility, the bulldozer was fitted with several video cameras linked to 2 monitors mounted on the vehicle's dashboard. So he wasn't looking physically through anything. He had that thing completely sealed up, 100% sealed up. The cameras were protected on the outside by 3-inch shields of clear, bulletproof Lexan, which is a form of plastic. But they were bulletproof. So, and he's got the cameras on the outside. They can't shoot him. They're bulletproof. Compressed air nozzles were fitted to blow dust away from the video camera. So he was a handy guy. Onboard fans to keep him cool, along with an air conditioner, made sure he was comfy while he was driving. He had made 3 gun ports. Check this out. 3 gun ports here. Now, they were fitted for a 50 caliber rifle, which is the largest bullet, the one on the left, a 308 caliber semi-automatic rifle, which is the one that is 1, 2, 3, third from the left, and a 22 caliber rifle, all fitted with 1/2-inch steel plate. The 22 caliber rifle is the round is the one to the very, very, very far right on his Killdozer. His Killdozer. At the time of the demolition, yeah, I said demolition, it also contained 3 handguns and enough food and water to last for 1 week. So, yes. By the way, people saying hi, people saying hi, people saying hi. The Wolf says, I remember this purr of a story. There have been more friendly fire casualties within the U.S. military than legit targets struck by Captain Dozo. Wow. He built armor-plated cup holders. Yeah, he had an armor-plated baby seat. People laughing. Hell yeah, brother. Now we're talking. What a mensch. What a mensch. Anyway, on June 4th, 2004, starting around 2:15 p.m., Heemeyer began his rampage. Yes, it was a rampage. By driving his armored bulldozer through Mountain Park Concrete, owned by the Dochev family. That was that concrete plant that he was against. Drove right through it. At the time of the attack, Cody Dochev was at the concrete plant screening topsoil at the gravel pit when he got a notification over his radio there was an explosion. Several employees attempted to stop the bulldozer by cramming objects into the treads in order to jam it. Didn't do a darn doggone thing. Not one thing. Cody Dochev, initially believing the dozer to be under remote control, fired a pistol at it and attempted to climb on top, which didn't do anything. before engaging the bulldozer with his own front end loader. So he got his front end loader, which is a giant thing, by the way. Nope. The Killdozer went right, just pushed it out of the way like it was a little schoolgirl. No effect. During this time, Heemeyer fired multiple rounds at the loader. A deputy from the sheriff's office arrived on the scene, followed by a Colorado State Patrol trooper, and they were both fired on by Heemeyer. More deputies arrived and began firing on the dozer, attempting to destroy the cameras with gunfire, but they couldn't get through that 3 inches of bulletproof plastic. At one point, Heemeyer charged at a firing position occupied by several state troopers who got out of there just seconds before he demolished the car they were behind, with one eyewitness noting they had just escaped meeting their maker. He looks like such a nice fella. After he just demolished the concrete plant, it's gone now. He's gotten rid of that. It's over with. He turned onto Agate Avenue, just to show you how much into mineral processing this little town is. They actually have an Agate Avenue. And he headed south. He was only doing 5 miles an hour. The officers at the plant requested a reverse 911 call. That's where instead of you making a call to 911, 911 calls everybody in town and requests that all residents evacuate. Under Sheriff Glenn Traynor climbed atop the bulldozer and rode it like a bronc buster, trying to figure out a way to get a bullet inside the dragon. He also dropped a flashbang grenade down the bulldozer's exhaust pipe with apparently no effect, and was later forced to jump off due to the debris of all the things he was running over. He then advanced on Granby Town Hall. By the way, Granby has a brand new town hall now. Thanks, Marvin. Which had been hosting a story hour for children in its library when the rampage began. All occupants were evacuated only moments before Heemeyer reached the building, which is about an hour after the whole thing started. He then turned onto the Liberty Savings Bank, where he aimed at the corner office. That was the office of a woman who was part of that zoning board. That's where she worked. Police forces were unable to damage the bulldozer, and they insisted that they should just start following it, jogging alongside of it. So you've got images of all these people jogging alongside behind it. Heemeyer next targeted several street fixtures like trees and traffic lights before moving on to the offices of the local newspaper, who he had a grudge with, and in turn, the homes of the Thompson family and their workplace. A scraper, which is a big giant thing with a blade that just scrapes off land, also a giant heavy thing, tried to stop the bulldozer, but just got pushed aside. You really got to watch this documentary. If you really want to get, it's really, really, really good. He next targeted a propane storage yard, firing 15 bullets at the tanks, some of which contained 30,000 gallons propane. Police were forced to hurriedly evacuate all residents within 1,000 yards of this site, including a senior housing complex. Heemeyer then fired upon nearby power transformers with a high risk of igniting the tanks, but he couldn't find a good angle. He hit the transformers once and missed with all the rest of his shots. Had these tanks ruptured and exploded, anyone within a half mile of the explosion could have been endangered, according to the sheriff's department. 12 police officers and residents of a senior citizens complex were within that range. After leaving, he was engaged by another scraper, which he, as usual, just pushed aside like it weren't nothing. At this point, local authorities and the Colorado State Patrol feared they were running out of options in terms of firepower, as the approximately 200 rounds fired by police had just been inconsequential. They didn't do anything. and that Heemeyer would soon turn against civilians. The governor of Colorado, Bill Owens, allegedly now, considered authorizing the Colorado National Guard to use either an Apache attack helicopter with Hellfire missiles or a two-man team equipped with Javelin anti-tank missiles to destroy the bulldozer. As late as 2011, Governor Owens' staff vehemently denied considering doing these things. Members of the state patrol, however, claim that that's not true. The governor did consider authorizing attack, but decided against it due to the potential collateral damage of a missile strike in the heart of Granby. Because who'd want to ruin all this? Yeah. Heemeyer finally attacked the Gamble's store, which is kind of like just a modern convenience store, like a general store, targeting it due to the owner's involvement in the hearings about the batch plant. As the bulldozer slowly plowed through the building, one of the previous scrapers was maneuvered onto the sidewalk, blocking it from retreating. Heemeyer dropped a tread as he continued through, which immobilized himself. And the reason he dropped this tread was he didn't know there was a small basement on this property, and he fell into it, just partially, but that took him off one of his tracks. The radiator had also been damaged, and the engine was leaking before it failed. Even if he'd been able to free himself from that basement, the bulldozer wouldn't have been, working much longer. About a minute later, one of the SWAT team members who had swarmed around the machine reported hearing a single gunshot from inside the cab, with the predictable results. Marvin wasn't around anymore. Police first used explosives in an attempt to remove the steel plates for fear of booby traps. But after the third explosion failed, because they just couldn't get into this thing, they cut through it with an oxyacetylene cutting torch. After getting inside, they buried, Marvin. They found the access hatch and enough food and water to last a week. Grand County Emergency Management Director Jim Hollahan stated that authorities weren't able to access and remove Heemeyer's body. Why can't I talk anymore? I used to be able to talk. I used to be one of my really good skills. They weren't able to remove his body until 2 a.m. on the next day, June the 5th. The attack lasted 2 hours and 7 minutes, damaging 13 buildings, 11 of which were occupied until moments before their destruction. His targets included the town hall, the Sky High newspaper office, Gamble's General Store, Maple Street Builders, Mountain Parks Electric Company, Liberty Savings Bank, Copycat Graphics, and the wall of his former business, the home of a former mayor. By the way, the mayor's 82-year-old widow was then inside of it when it happened, and a hardware store owned by another man Heemeyer named in a lawsuit, as well as a few others. The rampage knocked out natural gas service to the town hall and the concrete plant, damaged a truck, destroyed part of a utility service center. As part of the rampage, Heemeyer destroyed several trees outside a local business that the owner had previously claimed were hurting his business. The damage was estimated at $7 million, which is $14 million in today's money. $2 million of that was to the concrete plant, which was underinsured. They didn't insure it for $2 million, so they only got $700,000 for their destroyed concrete plant. Many town records and archives were destroyed along the town the town hall, the hall of the town. Defenders of Marvin Heemeyer said that he made a point of not hurting anybody during the bulldozer rampage. And one of the people in town, Ian Doherty, a bakery owner, said Heemeyer went out of his way not to harm anyone. Cody Dochev stated that if Heemeyer truly didn't want to hurt anybody, he could have plundered the center of town on the weekend when most businesses would have been empty. Those Dochevs, I mean, they're in the right here, but they seem like a bunch of real jerks. Actually, they don't seem like jerks at all. Unless you watch this documentary, it'll tell you more about those folks. And you might have a different opinion. I don't know. My opinion is probably there was some nasty stuff going on, but you don't anyway. I think Marvin had some issues. We'll just put it that way. The sheriff department said that the fact no one was injured was not due to good intent as much to good luck. In April of 2005, and this is interesting to me. This is actually, I think, pretty smart. The town announced plans to scrap Heemeyer's bulldozer. The plan involved dispersing individual pieces to many separate scrap yards to prevent souvenir taking. They didn't want people that were anti-government and things of this nature to, get these and make them into cherished keepsakes. Although no one other than Heemeyer was killed in the incident, the modified bulldozer has occasionally, including this show, been referred to as Killdozer. It's unclear whether this is an allusion to the 1944 short story Killdozer or the 1974 film adaptation, or if this is just a word they came up with on their own. Marvin Heemeyer has since gained a lot of supporters on the internet who view what he did as an act of patriotic civil disobedience against a corrupt government. Look, we all know there's a bunch of people out there that, they didn't have to do it. They didn't go through all the problems. They didn't have to devote any time. But by God, somebody ought to just plow that city hall down to the ground. Those are the people that... Patrick Brower, a reporter who had covered Heemeyer's numerous disputes for years and who was nearly killed during the attack, had reported receiving threatening and insulting comments as a result of pushing back against the narrative that he was some sort of a folk hero. A search of Heemeyer's house in Grand Lake, Colorado, turned up his plans for building the Killdozer that were on his PC. Investigators later found Heemeyer's handwritten list of targets. 107 people who he thought had wronged him. The Dochev family was at the top of the list, and he referred to them as Duchef. You know why. I don't have to explain why. The list also included various buildings, companies, judges, politicians, newspaper editors, and anyone who had sided against him in his past disputes, which were many. One entrant was the local Catholic Church, which he didn't bother damaging due to their opposition to his attempts to legalize gambling, which is amazing to me because they have bingo there every Friday night, and we all know bingo is gambling. Prior to the rampage, Heemeyer had scrawled a list of complaints onto an old for sale sign. These range from the Dochef's unwillingness to pay the large sums he requested, the sanitation district's fining of him, and that the town had approved the concrete plant to be built. Other writings suggested that God had stopped the plant from being constructed in 1992 and alluded to a belief that God had caused the deaths of multiple people who had opposed him. So if any of the people that opposed him died, he would go, ha ha ha, God did that for me. Heemeyer further claimed that I was always willing to be reasonable until I had to be unreasonable, which is a majorly famous quote by him that a lot of these anti-government people use, adding that sometimes reasonable men must do unreasonable things. In addition to these writings, and this is a reason that you should definitely watch this documentary, Heemeyer recorded 3 audio tapes explaining his motivation for the attack. These tapes had a recording on each side, the old cassette tapes. That means there's 6 recordings. And he mailed these to his brother in South Dakota right before stepping into his bulldozer. His brother turned the tapes over to the FBI, who in turn sent them to the Grand County Sheriff's Department. The tapes are about 2.5 hours in length. The first one was made April 13th, 2004. The last one was on May 22nd, 13 days before the rampage. God built me for this job, Heemeyer said in his first recording. He also said it was God's plan that he not be married or have a family so that he could be in a position to carry out this attack. I think God will bless me to get the machine done, to drive it, to do the stuff I have to do, he said. God bless me in advance for the task that I am about to undertake. It is my duty. God has asked me to do this. It's a cross that I am going to carry, and I am carrying it in God's name. Other statements on the tapes include his view, Marvin's view, that he was an American patriot, with local journalist Patrick Brower suggesting this may be indicative of links to the broader patriot movement. Let's get to your comments, shall we? Shall we? Shall we? Shall we? Shall we? I got to find out where I was at. I got to find out where I was at. Hell yeah, brother. Now we're talking. What a mensch, says Smoke Detector. Nah, he was just out for a joyride. Smoke Detector says, wait, this was back in 2004. I only seen videos a couple months ago. Yeah, it was a long time ago. Stanley Cross, Stan the man. He's here. Check him out at The Urban Landlord on YouTube. I haven't seen any shows here recently. My only issue with the Urban Landlord channel is all these upcoming shows are posted and then people don't do the show. And so if a show is supposed to be on and it's late, I immediately think, well, they're not doing a show. And I move on to other things. And then I find out later, oh, they did one. It's very difficult, but it's worth it. It's worth it. Just happen by there now and then and see if they're doing a show. Post-millennial presume. A real trailblazer. How do you protect the hydraulic lines? A lot of that stuff was inside sort of the box that he built. And they couldn't get underneath it. So, I don't know. Maybe the plans are somewhere on it. Oof, he just nuts. Nuts like a fox. No smoke. He nuts like a nut. Real Trenchcoat says, there's crazy in them there eyes. There really are. We gonna rock down to Agate Avenue, and then we'll take you higher. The Wolf says, personally, I think he had a whole box of German chocolates. If you are going to attack a town with a Killdozer, first, you must get some pervitine. Julian Caesar says, seems like you could stall it by blocking the exhaust somehow. Well, they tried, and they couldn't. They put a whole flashbang in it, I think. Not the Thompson twins. No, the Billy Ocean. Smoke Detector says, jokes aside, this man is a pretty strong role model compared to the mainstream weirdos they bombard us with. Strong moral compass, keen work ethic, creative problem solver. True Renaissance man. Well, he did have many abilities, that's for sure. Julian Caesar says they finally convicted him of not having acquired a demolition permit. His one weakness. Rumple Trenchcoat says, eventually they just buried him in the Killdozer. Took 3 weeks to dig the hole, which ironically would have been much faster if they could have used the Killdozer. Yes, build your own hole. It makes its own gravy. For real? No, they got him out of there. It took him a long time. It took him a long time, though. It took him like... He couldn't get him out of there till 2 a.m. the next day. So... Oh, yeah, they couldn't get him out of there until he... and he probably realized, I'm immobilized now. It's only a matter of time. Who knows? He didn't make a tape for that. Oh, let's see here. Rumble Trenchcoat says, Yeah, his dozer was damaged, but I think he could have gone for a while if he wanted to. He could have stayed in there for quite some time. Sounds like a false flag, if you ask me. That is a very elaborate false flag. And also, if it was a false flag, why did they do it in Granby, Colorado? You know, the media capital of the world. Smoke detector says embodied restraint as well as defiance. Julian Zezer says they use giant caltrops as tank traps. Town should get a bunch of them just in case. You're darn right. Hey, an ounce of prevention. Rumple Trenchcoat says, if you see things happening that lead to you bulldozing a town as a sign from the Lord, you're probably the problem here. Yeah. Julian Zezer says, Tom, you'd change your tune if he bulldozed an ice cream plant. No, I wouldn't. Now, a Pringles plant. Now we're talking. Punji pit, caltrops, yes. But just big pits, holes in the ground. Wolf says, I've got a great idea. Don't vote or elect corrupt officials in office. Oh, right, there would be no official. Well, if you watch this movie, it'll get into the whole structure of the town and everything else. I highly, highly recommend that you watch this. Highly recommend it. Smoke detector says, I wonder if there's anything to the idea of appointing non-coherent mental devilists to government positions. Functionally, it wouldn't seem all that different, but less capacity for Machiavellian evil. Total unmitigated human evil. Anyway, Doc says, heard more about the guy here than a documentary. Well, but no. You'll hear the tapes. You'll hear him talking. You'll hear him. Julian Zezer says, hi. People saying hi. People saying hi. 11:30 tonight. Good. I was fearful you guys had been dinged again. I was fearful. See this? This is my fearful face. I was fearful. The Wolf saying, people saying hi. The most cheerful chat room on the internet, as verified by independent sources. Doc says, yep, it was definitely Zapervatine. It was not me. It was Zapervatine that did it. It was Zapervatine. Phone lines are open. 972-994-6822 is the number to call. If you'd like to call in, you may. You may. And then we will talk about the Killdozer. Oh, by the way, I'm doing a TV show tomorrow. I was thinking I could do The Twilight Zone. I could do The Andy Griffith Show. Or I could do kind of something more off the beaten path. I could do kind of a cult favorite TV show, like The Invaders or Land of the Giants. You know, Land of the Giants might be a good one. Kind of cultish. Time Tunnel. I could do Time Tunnel. You know. I'm fully hyped to check out the doc after this stream. Awesome topic, Tom, and covered really well. Well, thank you, Smoke Detector. Quark. Outer Limits. Those are all very good suggestions. You guys don't want me to do Land of the Giants? I thought that would have been just an absolutely... Outer Limits would be a good one. I've seen almost every one of the Outer Limits. I just wonder how many people have actually seen the Outer Limits. But I would do it. I just have to pick one for tomorrow. Next week, we'll do Bigfoot. We'll do The Invention of Color TV. We'll do Recessa Annie. And another show, maybe The Outer Limits. Quark, wasn't that Richard Benjamin? It was Richard Benjamin. I believe... Wasn't Dorothy Stratton on that show, too? The late Playboy Playmate that was the subject to that Bogdanovich movie. I vote Land of the Giants, says the doc. They're not rackologists. No, they're not. We can do Time Tunnel. Time Tunnel had Lee Merriweather. I'm thinking, was Dorothy Stratton on Quark? Let me see here. Hold on, folks. Oh, she wasn't on Quark. Well, she was on a similar show, though. She was on a similar program. I know that she was. Oh, she was on Buck Rogers. And she was in Galaxina. I was wrong. I was wrong. I wasn't really wrong. I didn't really know. She was on crack. No, I don't think she was on crack. On crack. 972-994-6822. I'll wait another 5.5 minutes, and then I'm out of here. She was on Buck Rogers. Yes, she was. Who was on Quark? By golly. Land of the Giants. It is. It's been so long, I just remember Richard Benjamin. I could do Quark. It was a funny show. I enjoyed Quark. It wasn't on very long, though. It wasn't very long. Half an hour show. Only 8 episodes of Quark. Eesh. Adam Quark. Okay. Sib and Patricia Barnstable. They were the hot chicks on that show. They were the hotties, some might say. Some would call them that. So maybe was it Land of the Giants? Should we do Land of the Giants? I don't know. Land of the Giants was on for a while. I remember I loved Land of the Giants. Doc says, I don't know, that show sounds quirky. Have you ever checked out Alan Partridge? I feel like a Gulley review of Partridge would be uniquely enjoyable in a whole bunch of ways. I could do Alan Partridge. His show isn't as old as most of the shows that I do. And one of the reasons, Smoke Detector, that I would not do Alan Partridge is that we are largely an American audience. So I try to pick programs that even if they were shown in America, were probably also shown elsewhere. Elsewhere. That's my gesture for elsewhere. I could do the Wild Wild West. Huh? Down, 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 down. Well, I could do the Wild Wild West. Much more popular show. Robert Conrad. I could do the Wild Wild West. Dr. Miguelito Loveless. Anybody? Anybody? Anyone? Anyone? Lost in Space? Oh, the pay. The pay. Oh, the pay. You know who would have stopped the Killdozer? Planes, Trains, and Automobiles and Killdozers, Tom Gulley. Also, Galumbo would have known it was happening long before it ever happened. But long before it happened. Let me see something here. Why don't I... What was I going to put up here? Doom, doom, doom. Lost in Space. The wolf is lobbying for Lost in Space. Lobbying for Lost in Space. Watch me get copyright struck for that. Hey now. Lost in Space? Dr. Smith, Tom Gulley? Rumple Trenchcoat says Galumbo would have helped that guy against the crooked politicians before it got that far. You're darn right he would. Oh, my delicate back, you abominable bucket of bolts. I agree with Lost in Space. You guys want Lost in Space? Would you like Lost in Space? Lost in Space actually is the reason that Land of the Giants got made. I think, maybe not. I know Lost in Space, I think, was an Irwin Allen Maybe it was Time Tunnel. Those three shows are all kind of related, at least thematically. All right, we're doing Lost in Space tomorrow. We're not going to talk about the movie, although Heather Graham is in the movie, which is a darn good reason to talk about it. Heather Graham, Papa Mau Mau. Which one of you jokers set the Killdozer footage to the Benny Hill theme? That's funny. Oh, there's Dr. Oh, the pain, the pain. Never fear, Smith is here. I've heard you have an interest in some UK culture, which is why I thought to suggest it. I get where you're coming from, though, for sure. Probably wouldn't do Belgian shows either. Well, there are British shows that I would do. I wouldn't mind doing one on Faulty Towers. I wouldn't mind doing one on Monty Python. I wouldn't mind doing one on Doctor Who. I wouldn't mind doing one on even Are You Being Served, or any of the shows that we show over here on public broadcasting. Keeping Up Appearances. There's a bunch of British shows that I would do. And then there's certain things that I would do just because I like them. For instance, Smoke Detector. I love the series New Tricks. I love Rising Damp. There are many, and I know a lot of people like Ab Fab and they like The Young Ones. Movie, can't we just wait for the book? Wouldn't it be a great world if that were true? Smoke Detectors, I'm down for some Lost in Space. All right, we'll do the Lost in Space thing. Tomorrow is Lost in Space. Well, I'll be developing the, artwork and the various postings for it immediately following the completion of this show. Yes. Oh, Smoke Detector. That is... it could be my favorite British program. The thick of it is incredible. Absolutely incredible. Some of the lines in that show are wild. Well, that show spawned the word of the year one year, omnishambles. Are You Being Served, or All Creatures Great and Small? Both excellent choices. Two Ultra Rude Dudes says, Marv is my spirit animal. Well, just for you. Two Ultra. Goatee needs a little work. Hell yeah. Yes. The thick of it is just great. Over here, you've created the omnishambles. I love that show. There was a period of time when maybe I had Hulu or something. Remember when Hulu was free and had all the TV shows on it? There was a point at which I could watch the thick of it for free streaming. Now it might be on BritBox or something. I don't know where it's at, but I must have watched it 5 times, start to finish. I could watch the thick of it over and over and over again. The Wolf says, Marty Feldman, Ab Fab. What about Peter Allen? I know me and the Wolf love Dave Allen. Sorry, Dave Allen. What did I say Peter Allen for? Peter Allen's a Broadway musician. Doc says, I don't need to get lost in space. I get lost in my driveway. Stanley Cross says, the verbal play in the thick of it was awesome. It was so great. The thick of it. And they did a thing where he came over to the United States that I didn't care for nearly as much. Okay, kids, I'm closing down the phone lines. They were wide open. I'd like to thank all the people that tried to help me today so much and received nothing but scorn. And it wasn't personal. I'm just doing a show. Yes, Doc, but what about your delicate back? You abominable bucket of boats. Anyway. All right, well, tomorrow night, Lost in Space. I'd like to thank all of you for being here. and being so awesome. I'd especially like to thank my good friend Rumpled Trenchcoat for those 5 gifted memberships, and more importantly, for being here for 10 months. Rumpled Trenchcoat is the gold standard, and not only great at contributing in the chat and being a guest star on the show itself, even though I know he's a very busy man professionally and got his own show to do. I cannot wait until they do the live version of the Rumpled Trenchcoat podcast with the award show and everything else. I cannot wait. Cannot wait. I don't follow Wolf. Doc, he's talking about Dr. Smith on, oh, the pain. Rumpled Trenchcoat said, where did the time go? Well, I'm so glad we had this time together just to share a laugh and sing a song or two. Seems before you know it, from the time we've started comes the time we have to say so long. Good night, everybody. Dr. Smith, oh, the pain, the pain. Hey, if you do the Faulty Towers show, I'd love to be part of that show. Okay. All right. That's a done deal. There's only like 12 or 13 episodes of the original Faulty Towers. I had brain fart, Wolf. You know them Cajuns, they eat all this stuff there. Yes, I was just doing my Carol Burnett impersonation. The Doctorn. We love the Doctorn. He's Cajun. All right, kid. Oh, wait. I actually learned a bunch tonight. Wasn't familiar with the Killdozer story at all. Great stream, man. Well, thank you. Doc says, this is the song that doesn't end. Welcome now, my friends, to the show that never ends. Step inside. Step inside. He's from Barcelona. Yes, do you know that Connie Booth, not married to John Cleese in the show, but married to him in real life for a period of time. You know where she was born? Indianapolis, Indiana. Thank you. I'm going to one more time recommend this absolutely incredible documentary called Tread. Let me see if I can see it streaming for free. Tread documentary, free streaming. Boom, shaka-laka-laka, boom. Oh, yeah, you can watch it on Pluto for free. Or you can watch it on the Roku channel for free. Or you can watch it on Sling TV for free. Or you can watch it on Fandango at home for free. I will be watching it on Pluto TV for free. By the way, I see it here. I think this is a bootleg version, but there's what looks like a bootleg version also on YouTube for free. So you can see it. So go watch Tread. I watched that Shock Room documentary about the Milgram experiment last night. Not that great. It's well produced, but probably my show was a better ELP, Emerson Lincoln Palmer. Doc Torn, he's special. Smoke Detector says there was some sort of scandal with Andrew Sachs, Manuel. I think Russell Brand and Jonathan Ross were trolling his family or something else on the radio. Well, what that was, Smoke Detector, was that his granddaughter, I think, or grandniece or niece, or maybe it was his daughter, Russell Brand had slept with. And so they called up and said a bunch of very derogatory things about that young lady and a bunch of other stuff that was just classless. It was just sort of like trolly stuff, which he's an old man, don't think he really knew what was going on. And so they got in trouble over that. I think Jonathan Ross got suspended for a short period of time. And then Russell Brand just went on. I mean, his penalty is he has to go continue being Russell Brand. That's his sentence. Anyway, so Tread, I'm going to watch it on Pluto here later this evening after I make me some dinner. So, with all that being, sorry, let me back this up. I'm looking at that old clock on the wall, and it says, well, like the Reverend Al Green, it's time for me to get on up out of here. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. With all that being said, I better get this ready to play. With all that being said, till next time, we'll see you next time.